Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rafaela and today's journal entry is titled as Unmute Yourself. Now this journal entry is based on the topic of suppression, suppressing yourself and your needs for the benefit of everyone else. And I'm very passionate about this topic, mainly because it goes hand in hand with my other favorite topic, which is boundaries and setting your boundaries and sticking to them. I think that this journal entry can be used as I wouldn't say gentle, because I don't feel like I've been very gentle within this written piece, but at least a very eye-opening reminder for both me and you of the harms that suppressing yourself causes, because it's not just on the mental level or the emotional level, but also the physical level. And I've personally experienced this, where I suppressed myself, and as a coping mechanism I took up smoking, and proud to say that I haven't smoked in 12 days. So I do want to bang my head against the walls, because everything is now bubbling and trying to get out, and I'm not sure how to deal with it, simply because I suppressed it to either ignore it or to keep the peace. But that's just an example of how suppressing yourself gets you into bad habits. And it doesn't even have to be bad habits of eating or overeating, I guess, of smoking, doing other things. It shows up in the simplest ways as well, in your sleep, in your health, in trapping emotions within your body that then later on causes health problems and diseases and illnesses. And I don't think that a lot of us realize that it stems from suppressing your emotions and your needs and keeping everything bottled up inside. And I think that there are moments in lives when we catch ourselves living smaller than we were ever meant to. We end up speaking softer and stepping lighter, and we bend ourselves into shapes that don't quite fit us at all. It's something that many of us do very quietly and sometimes unconsciously, and mainly because we try to blend into everyone's expectations, not the ones that we chose, but the ones that people chose for us. We learn to hide parts of ourselves in order to keep the peace, to be accepted, or to simply avoid standing out too much. And somewhere in the process of losing track of the colors that once made us whole, this reflection isn't just about the heaviness that we carry, is about recognizing how common these experiences are and how deeply they connect us, and how we can begin to claim the spark that we've dimmed. Now, the truth is that many of us learned to suppress ourselves a really long time ago, before we even understood what suppression truly meant. As children, we discovered that certain emotions made adults rather uncomfortable. That anger was too much, and that sadness was dramatic, and that our excitement was disruptive. We heard things like calm down and stop crying and don't make a fuss, and we internalized these messages that our natural emotional reactions were somehow wrong. So we shrank ourselves to be easier to raise, easier to handle, and easier to be loved or accepted. Those early lessons, now they didn't fade as we grew. They actually became the foundation of how we learned to later on navigate throughout the world. When we reach adulthood, those old lessons show up in quieter and way more complicated ways. We suppress ourselves in subtle, familiar patterns, overthinking simple decisions because we're afraid of disappointing someone, apologizing for things that aren't really our fault, and we feel guilty for resting or needing help, We say yes even when our whole entire body screams no. We laugh off pain and silence our hurt and downplay our needs so that we don't inconvenience anyone. We become people who not only suppress emotions, but then we later on suppress our desires and our opinions and our dreams and instincts. And somewhere along the way, we lose the ability to tell what we genuinely want from what we've simply been conditioned to tolerate. Now, over the time, this suppression forms a kind of invisible box around us, a tight, airless space built from all the pieces of ourselves that we've tucked away. And as we try to fit into other people's expectations, we start stripping away our color until we're living in something close to black and white. We give others so much access to us that they begin scripting our lives without even realizing it, and we become almost puppets, reacting to their wants instead of our own. Now, the more we hand over our voice, the smaller we become inside our own life. When we mute ourselves for long enough, we risk losing sight of who we are and who we are truly beneath all the layers of compliance. Suppression doesn't just dim us, it disconnects us from our own identity as a whole. Suppression doesn't simply vanish when we push it down. It transforms. It becomes emotional exhaustion, mental burnout, and the quiet sense of not being good enough. The constant anxiety of trying to be accepted. And the hardest part of that suppression only benefits other people. It makes their life easier while we carry the invisible weight of changing ourselves for their comfort. We take on the emotional labor of adjusting who we are while they offer no emotional support in return. We're told to change, criticized for not changing fast enough, or that we were never good enough to begin with, expected to rewrite ourselves immediately, yet we're given no reassurance and no guidance and no compassion. And so we deal with the aftermath all alone. The guilt, the shame, and the overthinking, the exhaustion is all the things that we carry with us, while the person just gets the benefit of us being changed and us living in their expectations and us doing what they really wanted you to do. Now, suppression doesn't stay confined to the emotional realm, as I said before. It seeps into the body. The emotions we refuse to feel don't disappear, they settle into our muscle, our breath, our sleep, and our stress patterns. Tension becomes chronic pain, anxiety becomes digestive issues, stress becomes headache, high blood pressure, weak immunity. Our bodies whispers what our mouths are too afraid to say. And so then it forces us to question, why are we getting sick mentally, emotionally, and physically just to please someone who can't even offer emotional support in return? Someone who can't even offer empathy or compassion. Why sacrifice our health and our energy, our spirit, for people who don't protect our well-being? We are everything we have, so why risk everything for someone else's comfort? Eventually, there comes a moment, a quiet, unsettling realization that you've been living a life shaped by everyone else but yourself. And you look at your reactions and your choices and your compromises and start to see how many of them weren't made for you at all. You notice how often you've softened yourself, edited yourself, silenced yourself, and you see how much of your life has been a performance of who others wanted you to be rather than who you truly are. And in that moment, the truth hits. You've been living for everyone else. You haven't been living for yourself. You've been complying, and compliance has cost you your spark. But the spark is never fully gone. That is the great thing. It waits beneath the silence. And healing begins when we decide to step out of the box that we've placed ourselves in. When we choose honesty over hiding, when we allow ourselves to feel what we never allowed before, when we set boundaries not to shut people out but to protect what's left of our energy. Healing means giving ourselves permission to rest, to say no, to walk away, to take up space, to rediscover what we actually want. It means reconnecting with the parts of us that we've buried in order to survive. And piece by piece, the color will start to return. The spark rebuilds itself, and we learn that we don't need to earn acceptance or shrink ourselves to be loved. We come back to ourselves fully, unapologetically, vibrantly. And that is where the real true healing begins. So let this be your reminder that you have to stop giving people permission to control your life. Stop revolving around the ones who cause you pain. Stop abandoning yourself just to make space for people who wouldn't do the same for you. At some point, you have to speak up for yourself, and you have to stand up for yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. And I know that sometimes we just want someone to stand beside us, to reassure us that what we're doing is the right thing, and to make us feel protected while we stand our ground and while we set our boundaries, because sometimes standing up to those people is a really scary thing to do. But the reality is that you are that person, and whether you believe that you're strong enough or not, you are the only one that has to stand in front of your own life and defend it. It's you who is at stake here. So you give yourself up to please everyone else, and you struggle to show up for yourself. It makes no sense. If you can change for others, and you can bend for others and soften yourself for others, you can do it for yourself too, and for your own healing too. And the moment you realize that that power has always been within you, and that you can choose to stop, that's when everything begins to shift. Because the reality is that it starts with you, with your boundaries and your choices, and your willingness to no longer allow what breaks you. And from this moment on, you get to decide what you welcome into your life and what you refuse to carry. And you deserve that, and you are strong enough to begin to do those things. And I think that you can still have so much reassurance, yet so much doubt. Yet once you act even on that doubt, even with that doubt, that's when you really begin to turn things around for yourself. And I think that as we come to the end of this journal entry, I do want to say that I truly hope that everything you've heard today can be a wake-up call, and it can cause some urgency for you to act. Because the truth is that it is hard. It's hard to stay patient and to be gentle, and there's in so many ways, by suppressing yourself, we waste so much time. We waste so much time living in the eyes of everyone else, or performing for everyone else, and we suppress ourselves just to keep people around, just to be loved, or just to be accepted, or to meet expectations that were never really ours to begin with. And I think it's time to stop wasting that time. I think if you can do all of those things to please someone outside of yourself, you can definitely do it for yourself. And I think that if today's journal entry touched something in you and it sparked an urgency for change, but you're unsure where to start, then I would absolutely love to make another video where I stand behind you. The way many of us wish we had someone to stand behind us, to help us and guide us and just let us know that what we're doing is right. And yeah, I can create a video where we talk about healing together and where we talk about tending to our emotional needs and our physical and mental needs, and about learning how to finally choose ourselves without guilt. But until then, I hope that you take very good care of yourself and that you not only protect yourself but also protect your spark, and you give yourself the space that you deserve. Thank you for being here with me and for watching this video. I shall see you soon. Bye bye.